Welcome. I'm so excited to teach this class about reclaiming your metabolism, resetting it. There's so many different things. GLPs are a wonderful um, tool, but they don't do everything. You still have to do the work when you're on a GLP-1. And even if you're not, a lot of people choose not to go that route, and that's totally okay. It's different for everybody. I personally chose to do one because I had tried everything. My weight just never changed. I started gaining as my hormones started changing. And so what happened was I was insulin resistant. I've always eaten really clean. I've been primarily vegetarian, vegan most of my life. Um, and I don't eat a lot of fast food. I've always really been mindful of the way I eat. And so nothing would ever change. And so I was like, hey, let's give this a try. So, and that worked for me. I'm down almost 50 pounds since the beginning of June. And so that is the one shift my body needed, um, which kind of helps reboot your metabolism as well. It helps everything to start working together. But in this lesson, I want really, there's some other key players that I shifted in my life that make a major difference in restructuring your metabolism as well. One of those things is stress. We all have stress. And so we want to really understand how stress and sleep also affects our hormones and our metabolic function. And we're also going to go over shifting our mindset. That's another big area that plays a key role in your weight loss journey, your wellness journey, is really shifting your mindset about how we think about things, how we handle stressors, how we respond to different situations, all those things. So we're going to kind of talk about that today too. There, I will post also. There will be a little presentation. You can like flip through if you want. So that you can go back and refer to that, take notes, whatever, has all the kind of key points of today's lesson. Sorry, my dog's barking. Um, so the other thing we're going to do today is we're going to set one small identity-based goal for your guys' week. So the first thing we're going to do, and I think it's so important, some people find it uncomfortable at first if they're not used to it, but we are going to take a few deep breaths and we are going to ground. Um, Grounding means humans don't get enough time outside, but the energy of the earth has so many different healing properties. And so when we ground and we take those deep breaths, we're connecting with that energetic flow of the earth, connecting to our soul, all those things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 3 deep breaths and we're just going to breathe in. We're going to hold 50 seconds and breathe out through your mouth. When we breathe in, think of breathing in that life force energy, creation energy, earth energy. And then when we breathe out, we're just going to let go any stress, anything negative, those little creepy negative thoughts or ants, automatic negative thoughts. And then one more and breathe out. Doing something as simple as that really can like regulate your nervous system really quickly. It's a really good tool to use if you're feeling like you're getting anxious or you're having a craving, anything like that. It's a really good little quick handy tool you can do anytime to help regulate your nervous system. And so first, I want to thank you all for showing up and watching this class. I hope it's helpful. I'm super passionate about helping people with their wellness and helping them feel good, not just in their bodies, but truly in their minds and their heart and soul. It's not about controlling your body. It's literally about reconnecting with it on so many different levels. So first off, your metabolism isn't broken. It's not something that you can't fix. Metabolism is adaptive depending on what we're doing to our bodies and with our mind and our sleep. All those different things play a role. It's constantly adjusting based on the energy available, the stressors we have, and safety signals from our environments. Right? It's kind of like this constant flow. Um, your cortisol is your stress hormone, and it raises your blood sugars. That's a lot of time where if you're under stress a lot, you become insulin resistant, and everybody handles stress differently. A lot of people don't even realize they're in a constant state of stress or a constant state of their nervous system being either hyper or hypo, um, because they're just used to living that way, right? And so when you're constantly stressed, or you're outside of your window of tolerance on your nervous system, meaning your baseline of your nervous system where it's supposed to be, you're either in fight or flight, which is hypo, or you're in freeze mode, which is or excuse me, you're hyper if you're in fight or flight, or you're hypo if you're in freeze mode. Freeze mode is more like you're shutting down. You just have no energy. You don't want to do anything. Fight or flight, of course, is fight or flight. Like you are anxious, you're amped up, you're all those things. Okay. So that chronic elevation of your nervous system, it really keeps your body in survival mode, and your body can't function the way it's meant to function if you're always in survival mode. So it's going to start storing fat. It's going to start breaking down your muscle mass. It's going to affect your thyroid hormones, your T3 and your T4. It's going to your thyroid hormones regulate your energy output. And so it also, I can never pronounce this, but it also increases your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. I call it the gremlin hormone, because it's easier to say. But that leads to more cravings. And then let's talk about the emotional cravings too. Sorry, I have my cozy headphones on from this morning listening to my classes that I'm always taking. And now they're like my snuggle buddy, and I love them. But that all plays a huge role in the way your metabolism functions. And when those aren't functioning properly, it is going to slow down your metabolism. Sleep deprivation is another big one. It can decrease your leptin, which is your satiety hormone. I'm not sure how you say that. And it also increases your ghrelin, hunger hormone. So leading to more cravings, leading to more fat storage, all those things. So sleep deprivation is a big key factor. That's why, like, when, a lot of times mamas that have babies, they tend to, it's hard to lose weight after giving birth. One, your hormones are all kind of crazy anyway, but then you're not getting a lot of sleep. Stress affects our sleep. Being on our screens right before bedtime affects our sleep, all those different things. And then you're kind of in this vicious cycle of your metabolism not functioning well because all these things are playing in a role, right? So your nervous system decides whether your body is going to burn or conserve energy, right? So it's got to feel safe in order to release the weight and heal. It's a huge factor. Here's some little, because I'm kind of a nerd this way and I love scientific studies, and I read a lot of different medical reports and different things like that. So I'm drinking my protein shake. It's first thing in the morning. And protein first thing in the morning is really good for you. It kind of wakes up your metabolism. So I always do a protein shake first thing in the morning. So studies show even one night, get this, one night of poor sleep can reduce your insulin sensitivity by up to 30%. Isn't that nuts? Chronic calorie restriction lowers resting metabolic rate as much as 15 to 20% over time. That's crazy. And so all these crash diets, all these limiting calories actually like hurt your metabolism. So that's why, especially if you're on a GLP-1 and you don't have the food noise and all those things, it is so incredibly important to make sure you're eating. And there is the factor of you're going to lose weight if it's calories in based on calories out. But people get so obsessed with restricting their calories or what they're putting into their body, they're actually hurting their metabolism. And that's why I say GLP-1s are a tool, but they're not going to fix everything. Um, so that's a huge one. You need to make sure you're eating enough calories for your body to burn. And it's kind of like one of those things where if you're not putting enough calories into your body, um, it's one of those things where um, your body's going, oh, when am I going to get food again? Right? When am I going to get fed again? And so, I better, I'm going to store that just in case we don't get food right away. So small meals throughout the day. We've all heard this. Um, Constantly giving our body a little bit of calories all day will start amping up your metabolism naturally. And so that's really, really important. Small meals is better for you to be able to break down your food and metabolize your food anyway. So that's the best kind of way to go. And sometimes mixing it up too, if you're plateauing, one of the things you can do is if you're consistently eating all day, but then you're kind of plateauing for a little bit, which I did about a month ago. I started doing more like fasting and then the next day eating and then the fasting and the next day eating because it kind of like wakes your body up and it's like, oh, wait, whoa, what's going on? And so that can be really effective too to kind of get through those plateaus and kind of wake your metabolism up a little bit because it kind of gets used to what you're doing, right? So you got to sometimes shift things up a little bit. So the other big one is your gut biome influences metabolism. Gut health, you guys, is so incredibly important. Gut health is directly related to brain health. They are finding so many studies where Alzheimer's, dementia, mental health issues are all related to gut health, right? That's why GLP-1s are really helpful in so many ways, and they're doing a lot of research for all sorts of other things with these because our bodies naturally produce GLP-1s, and from all our environmental factors, hormones that are in our foods, all those kinds of things is really kind of put our bodies off balance. So what they're finding is they think GLP-1s and GIPs, if you're on trizepatide, it's a double agonist, so it has a GIP and a GLP, which we'll do another discussion on that a different day because that's a lot. But what they're finding is they think that they're also produced in not only in our gut but in our brains, and so they're finding that these are really, really important pieces of our health, our overall health, our mental health, our digestive health, the whole thing, right? And so your gut biome influences your metabolism hugely. Diverse gut bacteria increases fat oxidation, and it also increases or decreases your energy production. Psychological stress alters your mitochondrial function. Isn't that crazy? So if you're like stressed mentally, it really alters your mitochondrial function, which reduces your ATP or your energy output. Hydration alone, also, you guys, that's why I'm constantly telling you guys, make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're hydrating. Hydration alone can increase resting metabolism up to 30% for 60 to 90 minutes. 30%, that's huge. After drinking water, known as your water-induced thermogenics. It's crazy. So all these pieces make a huge role in your metabolic health. So one of the things I want you guys to ask yourself and write these down, because I really want you guys to think about these. Speaking of water, now I need to drink water. What are some of the signs your body gives you when you're under stress? What kind of things happen? For me, if I'm really, really stressed out, sometimes it's like I almost get shaky, or kind of like I have the chills, and that's your nervous system, right? Sometimes when you're under stress, it can be one of those things where you're kind of like pacing around and you can't settle down, or your brain's just kind of going crazy. So really what I want you guys to do is take that question and really kind of watch that and see, notate throughout the week, when you're feeling stressed, what is your body doing? What does your body feel like? Not just our brains, what is your body feeling like? Because those are all signs that sometimes people miss, but they're really, really important signs. Another thing is, what does your energy feel like when you're in alignment versus burnout? Okay. So, like, not only like your energy, like, oh, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I like wake up and I'm not sleepy this morning and this and that. What it, not just that type of energy, but like on an energetic level, right? Like your vibe. Like, what does it feel like? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Do you have energy when you wake up? Do you feel super tired and it's almost like you're drugged when you wake up? So I'm talking about both types of energy. Okay. Um, and really think about that, because I don't know if a lot of people, like, when they're truly, I feel like this day and age, things are just flying at us so much and we're bombarded with so many different things all the time. Like, do you even know what true alignment feels like? Um, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, I just wish I could feel this way. And I was feeling like that like 2 years ago, where it was just like I knew I was totally out of alignment. I was like just not happy with anything. I mean, I was happy with some things, right? Like, obviously, like, I love my family, my friends, like, I like my job, like, all those kinds of things. But alignment with myself was a completely different thing. And I had lost, um, really centering myself. I've always been a really centered, grounded person, and I've always used energy work to heal, those things. And because I was just in the midst of hustling and working and all these things, I really lost that part of myself. And when I started grounding again and using energy work and energy healing and all those different things, and really, putting myself first in some ways and creating routines that I could live a really, really busy schedule, but still had time to myself, it shifted dramatically. Um, and so that's a question I really want you kind of like to sit with and really notate, what does your energy feel like? Not physical, not only physical energy, but energetic energy, when you're in alignment versus burnout. And some of you may not know, and that's okay, but try to like kind of start paying attention to it, because the answers will come to you. Um, Also, how might your body be protecting you instead of working against you? Um, so that one's kind of a big question, because our our protection can work against us in a lot of ways. I've put some videos out there about ego, and ego is a form of protection. And I'm not talking about like egotistical. I'm talking about ego as a form of protection. We're all humans. And on a soul level, if we were all interacting with each other through our heart space, and we completely had dissolved ego, things would be so different in life. But I'm talking about, ego as in it's a protection mode. It is a place that your brain has wired itself to respond to a certain stimuli or a certain emotion, and then it always responds that way. And so then your ego comes up, and that's being defensive. It's being, flares up of anger. It's, you get in these modes where like your nervous system overreacts, and then you can't even hear, like, you might be listening but you can't hear what another person is saying or a situation is actually happening. So those things can work against you in protection, but your body will also do different things to try to protect you, um, when your nervous system is out of control, right? And so those things could be like you're tired, and so your nervous system is saying like, dude, I need a break. Like, calm it down. I need a break. It can be, it can be all sorts of things like that. It could be, you're hungrier one day and your body is definitely wanting to like snack more. Well, that might be because your body's going in protection mode because you haven't been giving it enough calories. It could be so many different things. So that would be another thing to really like think about this week, is like, how is my body trying to protect me? And am I listening to the signs, and am I tuning into what my body needs, and what my mind needs, right? And or is my body working against me by my nervous system is overactivated, and It's going into protection mode all the time. And my responses are, not related to the actual situation. And so then it's causing my stress hormones to act up and all these things. So those are things to pay attention to of what's going on in your body because they're really key signals. So your metabolism listens to your thoughts and emotions just as much as your macros do, right? It plays just as big of a role of the food you're putting in your body, the activity you're, or strength training or whatever. Your metabolism is also listening to what's going through your mind. And that's why I really try to teach a lot of mindset stuff. It's listening to that self-talk. It's automatically, when that self-talk or those automatic negative thoughts are going through your head, it's listening and it's going, okay, that's putting my nervous system into hypo or hyper, and I'm not going to work for you now. So that is why, like, I cannot stress enough, doing the mindset work is so important if you want long-term transformation. Anybody can lose weight. There's so many ways you can lose weight. Anybody can lose weight. Like, but are you going to keep it off? And is it actually going to be a long-term true transformation? Mindset is the trick. And that is where the work needs to be done more than anything else. GLP-1s are a tool. Going to the gym is a tool. All those things are good, right? Limiting your calories, making sure your macros are spot on. But if you don't change your mindset and you don't start practicing and getting your nervous system under control, you're not going to have long-term transformation. Because guess what? The next stressful situation, the next hardship in your life, guess what? It's all out the window and your metabolism just went, right? Okay. So negative self-talk increases your stress chemistry. So some ways to start shifting that is having that 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be an all-day thing. Just start small. I challenge you this week, 10 minutes a day in the morning, 10 minutes a day at night. Express gratitude. And it might feel uncomfortable, and it doesn't matter what it is. Find the smallest thing to express gratitude over. Write in a journal, write it down. Writing it down really anchors it between our mind and our physical body and our energetic system. Write it down, express gratitude every single day. I've been trying to consistently write in my journal what I'm grateful for every morning. And there's been a few mornings that I've forgotten, and I will tell you, my day is different on the days that I do it. And so that's one thing that I'm challenging myself to do, is do this every single day, is write down what you're grateful for. And also I like to write down what I want for myself, because that again anchors, and it shifts that energy to get me going in that direction. Right. And I will also tell you, I went through a plateau for about a month, and I was just like writing it out. I'm not going to stress out about it. I know it's just a plateau, like our bodies do that. But one thing I did realize is, because I had this mindset of like, whoa, I don't remember the last time I weighed less than that. And so it was really like, and I'm still working on that block. Like, it is a total mental block. And the more I've worked on releasing that block and like letting go of like, okay, it doesn't mean I can't be under that weight. It just means I don't remember being under that weight for a really long time. And so really reframing that of like, wow, instead of, oh my gosh, I can't, like, whoa, like I can't even remember a time, I've reframed it of like, wow, this is so exciting that I get to actually surpass this weight on the scale that I don't ever remember doing. And the second I started working on that, guess what? The scale started going down again. But it was a solid month. So mindset makes a huge difference when you hit those little blocks. Um, so, a few things besides the gratitude, but really shifting, expressing the gratitude, finding joy in the smallest things, those all help your body shift into like a healing mode rather than a fight, freeze mode. And it really helps to like calm that nervous system down, which is so incredibly important. The vagus nerve is, you've all heard of it, or most of you probably have. The vagus nerve links to your brain, your gut, and your heart. It's a huge nerve that runs throughout your body. When it's stimulated through breath or gratitude and in a calm way, it activates your parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest. Okay, so it's really important. The more you regulate that vagus nerve, which controls everything Like that's like it's like that's a major nerve that runs through your system, and it really helps to either dysregulate or regulate your nervous system. Expressing gratitude, doing breath work, doing meditation, just doing some stretches, all those things will help immediately regulate that nervous or that vagus nerve. Positive emotions increase your heart rate, variability, variability. I cannot speak today. And it's a key marker of metabolic and flexibility and resilience, right? And so the more positive emotions we can express, the better the vagus nerve works, the better our heart variability is, all those things. And so they can actually see that, like, that it makes a big difference. Those emotions make such a big difference. And that's why we really have to work to change how we respond and how our emotions come up. And remember, a thought is only a thought until you attach an emotion to it, right? It's just a thought. And then we can either choose to attach an emotion to it or we can choose not to. So, some prompts that I think would be good, if you guys are journalers, and I've never been a big journaler, but I've been trying to do better about that because it's amazing kind of what comes out when you do start journaling. This week that I want you guys to write down, is, in what ways have I been fighting my body instead of working with it? Right. And this is getting real raw and real honest because our ego likes to make excuses. Well, I've done this, this, and this, and this. And so many people live in a place of just making excuses. And that's why they're where they're at. Right. But it's really about taking accountability for what we have chosen to do to our bodies and what we have chosen to put into our bodies and all those different things. And, it's important. It's really getting raw. Um, and if you want to talk about it, I'm here. But what have you done that actually is fighting your body or fighting, um, holding your body back? What emotions are you doing that's not serving your purpose, not serving your goal, instead of working with your body? Sometimes we feel safer because we're so used to living in a dysregulated sense. We feel safer being in a dysregulated sense because being regulated emotionally, um, is normal to us, right? So in order to do the work, we have to get uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, that's where growth happens. That's where transformation happens. Another one is, what is one small act of partnership I can give my body this week? What can you do for your body, and be partners with it not, instead of not supporting it? Um, One of the things to, some of the food related in resetting your metabolism that I want to talk about really quick. You guys all have like nutritional guides. I've put them in the bonuses. They're under the 12-week. And I've given them to people that aren't in the 12-week program just to try to be helpful. But really, again, it comes down to, when you first wake up, you need to hydrate your body at least 8 ounces of water right when you wake up. You should also be drinking water right before bed. And I know you have to go potty, whatever. I get that. But it is so important to hydrate your body before you go to sleep because that's when your body's rejuvenating. And it's also so important to wake your body up with hydration. And then protein first thing in the morning. Before you put anything else into your body besides water, adding that protein, whether it's a shake, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a protein yogurt, anything like that you need to get in your body. And typically, if you do right around 30 grams of protein right when you wake up, it really wakes up your body and it wakes up that metabolism. Like, oh, I got some protein in my system. Okay, like I need to start like waking up now and I need to start moving. Some of the other things obviously are, eating multiple times a day and then kind of shifting like how you eat. Like you might want to fast for a few hours other than, one day, and then you might want to eat consistently all day because that kind of mixes things up and it teaches your body that it's going to get food, but then like you do, small meals for 5 days a week. And then on 2 days you're fasting, for maybe a few hours. and then eating more in a confined space, because then your body's like, oh, okay, like I don't have food coming in, so I'm going to burn that fat. And so doing things like that, also adding in foods that have your amino acids like quinoa, that really helps your metabolism. Flaxseed, chia seed, those can be easily added to any food. Those are great things that help with your metabolism. Having the right fats is super important. Avocados, your nuts, that kind of stuff. Don't overdo it, but you want to have those good fats. You want to try to eat those good fats more at nighttime. That will help your metabolism. Typically in a day, you want to do like your carbs, and you do want carbs. I don't want to hear that. Don't eat carbs, right? I eat carbs all day because I'm vegan, and a lot of my protein comes from beans and lentils and different things like that. But also quinoa. And it's really about the right carbs. Your body needs carbs. If you're feeling tired when you're losing weight or you're getting hair loss or all those kinds of things, it's because you're not putting proper nutrition into your body. And so you really want to focus, like you want to wake up and do a protein, and then you want to do a mix of a protein and a carb and a vegetable. And lunch is kind of the same as your breakfast. You want to do a lunch, a carb, a lunch. You want to do a protein, a carb, and some vegetables, and always load up those vegetables, especially your green vegetables, your broccolis, cauliflowers. Those all have high fiber, and your body needs those because fiber is another huge thing that affects your metabolism, and most people aren't getting enough fiber. You can add some fruit into it, but fruit also breaks down into sugar. It's just like it's you're going to burn that really fast, and it's not. I mean, they have good benefits to them, but truly you don't need as much fruit as what everybody thinks you do. Your vegetables with your fiber, unless it's like apples have high in fiber, those things. But if you're going to do fruits, try to do them more in the morning, because your body's going to break that down into sugar really fast. So you want to be like active as you're eating those fruits rather than eating them at night, because then it's just going to break down and it's going to store rather than you're not going to burn it off as fast. But adding in that fiber, a lot of people are just constantly eating animal protein all day, and that's great. You're getting the protein in, but at the same time, it takes a lot longer for our bodies to break it down. And then if you're not eating the fiber and you're not eating enough vegetables and you're not eating any carbohydrates, you're going to be tired and you're going to get constipated. And that's no good either. That's not helping your gut health. Fiber is the number one. A lot of people talk about taking prebiotics, probiotics. Great, right? Especially if you've had poor gut health in the past, those are important. However, the best way to heal your gut microbiome and get your metabolism working is adding in real fiber, because food is medicine. You can fix so many health problems with eating the proper foods. And so that is some of the different things that will help. It's really balancing that out throughout the day. And then at night, you want to focus more on your fats, your vegetables, and your protein. So for your last meal or your last snack meal, like should be more of that. And then your snack should be also related to more either a fat or a protein. I always like have pistachios or almonds or something like that. And I'll just do a quick handful. So those are just some things that food related. But people talk a lot about food related, but they don't really talk about the nervous system and how that plays such a key role in your metabolic health. And I truly believe it's a really a large percent of how your nervous system and the way we handle stress or our responses to different situations make a giant area in like slowing down our metabolism. Okay, so we're just going to practice a little like metabolic reset, kind of short somatic little breaths. So what I want you guys to do is put on my mic, put one hand on your heart and one on your abdomen. And the reason for that is we're connecting our heart space with our solar plexus, which is a chakra and directly related to gut health and also directly related to how we feel about ourselves. So I have a whole energy healing class that's coming out that I've been working on, and I highly, highly recommend doing that class, because it's going to be a 30-day class and it's going to blow your mind with the shifting you can do in doing some energetic healing. But you're going to put one hand on the heart, one hand on your abdomen, and you're going to inhale for 4 seconds, and then you're going to exhale for 6 seconds. And it sounds silly, but it works because it's all about setting intention and putting stuff out there. But you're going to repeat when you do that, I am safe. My body knows how to heal. And then you're going to visualize your cells lighting up with warmth and flow. Okay, so it's like moving that energy through our system. We all have energy. It's measurable. It's a scientific fact. And our energy gets stuck and blocked up, especially in our chakras and all that kind of stuff. And so, also utilizing music, specifically around 500 hertz. And you can look up on Spotify, Apple Music, all these things. There is a specific hertz sound that actually promotes healing and promotes energetic flows in our body and helps to reset our nervous system. It's kind of like when you go out on, you maybe had a really bad day and then somebody's like, oh, like, let's go on a hike or whatever. And you're like, I don't want to, and you're all pissy. And then you get out there and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel wonderful. The reason is because all those plants, all those trees are putting out a certain amount of hertz. Like trees, for instance, put out 100 hertz. I find it really interesting that roses have always kind of been like the symbol, like to take to somebody, like if they're sick or because you love them or whatever. But roses actually produce 500 hertz. Isn't that interesting? A little weird fact. And so, putting on some music like that is really helpful. Alexa, play healing music at 500 hertz. We'll see if she can find it. Sometimes she works with me, sometimes. Alexa, turn volume up. Don't we just love Alexa? Okay, so we're going to put our hand on our heart and our hand on our our hand on our heart and our hand on our abdomen. And we're going to inhale for 4 seconds. And we're going to exhale for 6. And we're going to repeat, I am safe. My body knows how to heal. And I'm just going to close my eyes and keep breathing. And as you close your eyes, you're going to visualize all the cells in your body lighting up. Visualize that warm, beautiful light energy, whatever light color you want. One of the other things you can do is, it feels awkward, but the Om sound. You've heard it a lot in like meditation, and it seems funny, but there's actually science connecting it where it really does regulate your nervous system. And so just breathing in and then on the breathe out, doing the Om sound, and it connects our heart space with our energetic flow. So you breathe in and then Om. Part of that is that vibration going in your sinuses and that kind of stuff. Alexa, turn volume down. Part of that is it actually goes in and it regulates that vagus nerve, is why it helps. So maybe trying that. Humming can also instantly regulate your nervous system. Good fact for like little kids, how we hum to them when they're babies. I feel like it might be related to that. Alexa, stop. And so trying that, sometimes if you're stressed or whatever, just simply humming, or if you feel like your nervous system is getting dysregulated, humming sometimes can bring that down to a more regulated level in your body. So your focus for this next week and there on out, really try to choose 1% better health habit, right? So a lot of this comes to habit coaching. looking at the habits that you have supporting your goals and your wellness, and versus shifting those into better habits. Habits are a 21-day thing. You can shift any habit in 21 days as long as you keep consistent. Again, doing your 5 daily non-negotiables, whatever those have been, that support your goals. Try to keep on those. Really write down your goals, writing them down, and then having 5 daily non-negotiables that support them, whether it be like you're going to choose to ground every day, you're going to choose to get X amount of water. It could be I'm going to go sit outside every day for 5 minutes. It could be I'm going to read a uplifting book, a couple chapters or a couple paragraphs, whatever it is. I'm going to listen to something that's motivating. I'm going to do my workbook for the reset, and I'm going to do those exercises. So pick your 5 daily non-negotiables. You guys should already be doing those. And if you're new, we maybe have not talked about that, and that's okay, but we'll get to that. Hydrating before coffee, that could be a daily non-negotiable, or that could be a 1% change that you haven't done in the past. Morning sunlight, sitting in the sun if it's cold out where you are, or going outside, getting up and moving around after a meal, or just doing some stretches. Practice a 3-minute reset daily, doing some grounding, doing some breath work. Log your energy levels too for a week, and just kind of see where they are morning and night. Like, how are you waking up, and see if there's any shifts once you start doing these 1% changes. Remember, small changes equal big results and long-term change, right? It's not about doing everything fast. It's about really shifting things for a long-term transformation. I had a PDF. I will repost it with this class of Metabolism 101. It gives you some little quick tips on there. Also, I will post I made kind of like a little slideshow with some of the key points from today's classes. I will post those as well. I hope you enjoyed this class. I hope it's helpful. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm here for you. Reach out if you have any questions. And namaste. Have a good weekend. And let me know how this week went after doing these exercises.